Today's topic is, let's continue part 2. The mind is a cause of manifestation of a world. Last topic we discussed that mind depends upon the gross body, and the mind is so subtle that we cannot see from the senses and even microscope. Uh, you know, uh, in that gross body, all the five senses is controlled by some central processing unit that is called brain. So brain is a very important part of the human gross body that plays very important role in path of self-realization. Let's talk about brain in a layman language. Uh, we don't want to discuss about the brain physiology or anatomy. I'm not an expert of that, and you can see on YouTube a lot of people discussed about the physiology and anatomy or the brain functions. We will discuss very basic function about the brain. In the last topic, I was discussing that the mind is developed by the knowledge acquired by the brain from the surroundings, and at the same time I'm saying that the world is manifested by mind. But here I am doing contradiction that mind is made by the outside knowledge, that means outside world. So this is a contradiction. Yes, the mind world is made by mind, and at the same time all the minds is developed by the world. Let's discuss more about how it is possible. For this we have to discuss more about the brain. Like brain has different sizes and capacities in all creatures or living beings. Animals has relatively less developed brain than man. Every human being has also relatively different developments of the brain. For example, child has more brain than baby. Young kid has more developed brain than child. And same thing, fully developed or grown up man has more brain power than young child. And fully grown up man, the body growth will stop at a particular time, but the brain continue to develop. There is no time limit until death. The condition is it depends upon acquiring knowledge from the surrounding environment. So more man uses brain, more it tends to develop. More intelligent man means more developed man. Some people can have small bodies, but their brain may have more powerful. For example, a villager or a small town person who has no connection with the, I mean, not too much connections with the outside world or developed world, and who does a labor work and uses less brain, has less brain power than a teacher or a scientist whose work is not physical but with the brain. So the brain acquires knowledge from the surrounding environments, and the mind depends upon the body. So mind depends upon the body, but mind depends upon the brain, not on the gross body, but on the brain, and then brain depends upon the sensors of the body. So the knowledge acquired by the senses, through the senses to the brain, and brain develops and the mind develops too. For example, like uh, for example, that mind depends upon the body, but body does not depend upon the mind. Why? If let us say the body get tired, it is not gonna take permission from the mind to sleep. It will sleep automatically. You cannot wake up for 10 days. No, you cannot. Even if mind say wake up, no, you cannot. At the same time, the brain also has an depends upon the nature created by the God. If you are watching a TV for so many hours, 8, 10, 12 hours, your brain will get heat up. To cool down the brain function, the brain will shut down. It will slow down its function. As soon as you slow down the function, because mind depends on the body and mainly on the brain, the mind will stop down too. Another example I want to give you is sometimes we are so much stressed up or heat up because we are doing a lot of brain work and so the mind works, and we want to relax. We consume alcohol or drugs. Why we consume alcohol and drugs? To relax. Why we get relaxed? Because the alcohol or drugs goes to the blood and the blood goes to the brain and it does some chemical imbalancing and slow down the brain. As soon as the brain slows down, the mind slows down too. When the mind slows down, you are on a body level, body conscious. Body conscious means the present moment. You feel pleasure, you feel happy. On the contrary, sometimes you have a lot of work. You have to finish, you have a deadline to complete that work, and you have a very short time. You cannot afford to sleep. So, what do you do to wake up your body? The body want to cool down, but your mind say no, 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 you cannot cool down. So what you do? You smoke, or you do caffeine, or you do some drugs to keep your brain active. Because your brain active is very important part for the mind. Then mind can create or think to how to finish the job. So that's why the mind depends on the brain. Forget about the body. We will talk that next. Now we will talk that mind depends upon the brain. Mind is directly proportional to the brain. That's why the brain develops because of the knowledge. The brain develops because of the outside knowledge, and the mind depends upon the brain. So what happen is now, so the world is made by mind, and at the same time mind is made by the world, manifested by the world. But how is, so what is the relationship between two? That means it's a relative relationship. Mind works on a relative theory. Like in a physics, everything is, all the principle is related with the relative theory. Relative theory means, like my child today, my child is, let us say, born. My child is 7 8 years old. 10 20 years back, whatever the knowledge I acquire for the computer technology, my child is not gonna learn from the DOS language. He's gonna learn right away the Windows. Why? He don't need to go in the past. He has to learn from the Windows. So that means that the mind is start from particular reference point, and his child is gonna do the same thing. So the world is made by mind, and then the world is made by the mind, and then world is gonna made another mind, and that mind is gonna made the world, and then that world is gonna be the mind. So this is how the circle develops. So this is both depends upon each other. That means mind works on a relative theory. Mind takes a reference point and then goes up, and then another mind takes a reference point and then goes up. So mind is basically a relative. we will talk more about mind, about the relative theory in the next topic, how the relativity manifests world. I'm going to talk more about how the world is manifested by mind in the next topic. Hari Om.